Welcome everybody to another episode of Happily Ever After, brought to you by your Relationship Done Different certified facilitators, who, by the way, are facilitating classes all around the world on the topic of relationship. And if you're interested, you can go to accessconsciousness.com and search Relationships Done Different and find these lovely creatures. So topic for today.
What is it?
Yeah, what is
What?
it? Relationship. What was? Do I have to? Relationship. Do I have to? And it's what I love about this. And I was talking to the ladies before we jumped on. Is they both are very excited about this topic because, and I want to find out why in just a second. But what I'd love to share, like just to jump us off here, is like, I didn't know I could choose not to have it, like not get married or not have kids. Like I had no idea. I was the person who was constantly entrained to motherhood and, happily ever after with like your dolls. You have a boy doll and a girl doll and they get married. And then I had a ton of baby dolls and it was always entrained to be a mom. I have 4 kids. I
Wow.
wonder when that got started being created. So it's so funny because when my older brother, Dr. Dane, here, he was like, I'm not getting married this lifetime, and I'm like, you can do that? Like, I had no idea, no clue until I was well into it that I could have chosen that. So I would love to hear both of your stories and like where you come from in regards to looking at this thing with a relationship and how it's changed using the tools of access consciousness. So, Imene, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I'm like, this is a topic that I'm like, it is my life basically, because wherever you go as a woman, you're expected to have that. Even like, I don't know, my hairstylist is asking me, "Are you getting married soon?" I'm like, do I have to to get my hair done, or is it like a requirement now to get my hair done, or what is it that you're so obsessed with that? And then I looked at that and I'm like, wow, the world really has that as a basis, as a structure for anyone, like you, whether you are a male or female, and it's just the way you're supposed to be. And it never made sense to me. I never really like it never really made sense to have it as a must. And in my culture is like, that is where you're supposed to do it, to go to as well. It's like the world is going there and you are going there. And I really had to have the courage to be different and be like, what would I like now? Which is like, it's also there has to be choice for you to say yes to it at any time. And saying no now doesn't mean I wouldn't say yes at 10 seconds after, but it's the freedom of choice that we are not given, we are not gifted. I remember my mother used to say, you can choose anything you want. And then there's this underlying, the fine print that says, as long as I agree to it.
As long as it gives me grandbabies.
Yeah. And I am actually so lucky because my mother is now not at all pushing to marriage or whatever. And that is just a huge gift for me, because having someone in your life that you adore and love, and not seeing in their world that they need you to be something you're not, or that they need you to be completed by someone else, and just them being happy with you being, is a huge gift, and that I think all of us should have. So any of you listening, if you don't have someone that is like that for you and being happy with you just being, just know at least we are. Thank you for being. Whatever relationship you are not choosing. And yeah, that's a bit of my point of view.
So, Hedy, what
Mm.
were you taught about relationships and the like importance of them?
Oh my God, it's similar with what is Iman was saying. Kind of like I also come from I come from Asia, China. Kind of like since I was a little girl, and my parents already designed my life, kind of like, as I grow older, and I hear them talking about one of my sister. She's not getting married. She has not found the right boyfriend, and all the family are recommending different boys, men to her to make her able to marry. And then, I was always, the good girl and listening to my family. But then, you know, in the journey of self-development, I self-discovery, and kind of like, I found I don't really enjoy, the relationship, or to marry too early. It's not my, my thing. And then I become that one. Everybody around my family and relatives are recommending different men, and asking why she's not married. Is there something wrong with her? All those things, kind of like, wow, yeah. If I don't have the tool of interesting point of view, I will be crazy. I will fight with my mom, fight with other relatives, and go into reaction easily. But when I, using that, when I use that tool, and I can see what they are functioning from, kind of like they think that's the right thing. That's the only thing which will make you happy. But even kind of like it, actually, I see, those people who are, don't have a good marriage, that my sister, she's not happy. And also, I know that, just as Iman says, when is time when there is a person you really want to, spend your life with him, then it's also a choice. I'm not resisting that, but I just don't want to be forced into the marriage and with a person they think is the right person, but kind of like we don't know each other, and we just have the similar background, and those things. Yeah, this is what I experience.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you brought up the tool of interesting point of view, because I don't know how any of us have any relationships without that tool. Because we all are bringing whatever we're bringing, right, to people, to the relationship. And if you're in a relationship just so you have someone to argue with, then it's an interesting choice. Let's just say that. So, Imene, you said that this question of relationship, do I have to, also can be used in other types of relationships. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of times we see relationship done different. We go right to the sexy, intimate relationships rather than all relationships. So how does being in question and choice affect other relationships as well?
I love that. And I love that you asked me, because for me it was like all a relationship. But then when you asked me that, I was like, oh, that, that, and then that, the friendships, and then the relationships at work. And I was talking to a friend a few weeks ago, and she was like, you know what? I don't have any friends. And I'm like, I don't get what you mean. And she's like, I don't have any friends like to share the life and then share things with. And I'm like, if you mean people who you share your problems with, that compete with you in having greater problems so you can feel related, I think it's a great thing not to have them. And if you have, I have so many people around the world that I meet like maybe once every 6 months, and those are like, I can consider those my best friends, because I can meet with them and create and have more space and have more of me. And my whole life I thought I needed to have someone to complain to, that complained to me as well about what they had going on. And I thought that's what I needed in my life to, to be someone that is not alone, that is not lonely. You have friendships. You need, quote unquote, to have a certain relationship with people at work. So you are not whatever this reality decided you would be, right? You are the loner, or an introvert, or whatever it is that is supposedly bad. And if I look at my life, I'm like, well, what would I actually like to create? Because you can actually ask that question and be like, what would be fun for you? And what's fun for me? I found is these people around the world that have my back, that if I pick up the phone and say, hey, could you help me with this, would not actually get into my story and my problem, would actually ask me a question. That's for me friendship. So it's a beautiful thing to not live out of the need that you think you require, because that's just a lie that you base your life on. And then when you base your life on lies, it doesn't really work, because it's as if you're building a building and you don't have a foundation for it, but then you say, no, 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 there is a foundation for it. You know, it's like you're lying to yourself about having a foundation while you don't. So it is so necessary and so vital to know what you desire and how you would like to live your life. What kind of people would you like to have around? If it wasn't needing to have a friendship or needing to have a man or a woman in your life, or a certain, like, showing up as an image of something that you grew up learning that is the thing to be, as the married person, or the one that is so social and has a million friends, or someone that is loved from everyone, from everybody, whatever the English is for that. So, and how beautiful it is that, as I said earlier, it's like being, and that's so under undervalued, like you being,
So
just
true.
you being is a gift.
Yeah. The interesting thing that I've seen with like friendships, like I love that you talked about like having like bitch fest, like problems, someone to talk to about your problems. When I started using the access tools like consistently, like daily in my life, and creating my life from them, I didn't have as many problems, and I ended up with not as many friends. And it was so wild because I'm like, where did this person go? I used to talk to them all the time, and I was like, oh, I talk to them all the time about problems, and I don't know what to talk about,
Yeah.
So it looked so different, and to actually take a step back. So anybody listening, even if you don't use the access tools, you're welcome to. You're invited to. But to start to look at like how many problems you even maintain. You maintain problems like I maintain this plant. You maintain your problems pouring water on them, so that you have something to talk to your friends about. It's so funny. And us women do it all. And I am a hairstylist, known a hair salon. And I was like maintaining problems with like my relationships. So I had something to talk to my clients about because they come to
Oh,
me
wow.
with their problems, it's like wild. Hedy, how have your relationships like across the board, family and friends, like changed since you started using the tools? And what have you noticed is so vastly different?
Oh my God, this is what I want to talk about. Kind of like, we change, especially after we take the classes, all the change, we change. And the way we, get along with people also change. And also when you change, sometimes some people, before you may, have just get together and complain about the problems, and then you change, you don't have that problem, and your vibration changes, and the old friends may, just drop out from your life, and you meet new people. And sometimes, just as you said, we are trying so hard to maintain those, some relationships, which doesn't work any longer, especially if that person, doesn't want you to change, doesn't want you to be different. Kind of like it's also honoring yourself to let people who, is no longer a contribution to your life to just leave, or, contact with each other less and less. Before I would be, very making myself wrong. Am I doing something wrong? I can no longer be that for that person any longer, or I cannot continue that. Something I will make myself wrong, but then I know there is something changing. So I just let it happen, let it go, let it come. Whoever, lives my life, who comes into my life, I just enjoy them. That's it.
I
And
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And also, I also learned that I need to become the choosing one. Even somebody, who wants to kind of like you have a certain project, they invite you, but it's not your target. Your target is different. Might you want to create more, have more joy, more consciousness, but that person wants to create something else. Kind of like you don't have the same target. You also need to, kind of like choose for yourself. And yeah, that's also a part. Don't do the relationship, but follow the energy, or whether it works for both of you. Kind of like include yourself in that choice also.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Us learning to include ourselves in our choices is so wild. Like I know one of the things Simone Milasas, who like is the face or the leader of Relationship Done Different, she always says like, who do you think of before you choose? And that one like, oh, it
Hmm.
gets me every time. Because in relationship, we're taught that in order to be good at your side of the relationship that often has a ton of separation is to think of them first before you choose, whether that's with your children, your spouse, your friends. How is this going to affect other people? And then somewhere I'll get to how it actually contributes to me. And that is such a muscle to start to like build and explore. Um, and then one of the things that I know come up in like my relationship classes, my RDD classes, and I'd love to see like what you've kind of explored in yours or in your own life. What does it look like to start to include you in your choices? Because we say relationship, that's a choice. Okay, now you're in one. Do you still have choice when you're in one? And how does that work to start using like the acknowledgement of you being part of the relationship that you're choosing to be like you're choosing to contribute to or create? Create might be better.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you spoke about like how much we learn to think of the other person and the questions that Simone's asks a lot and uses a lot. I love it too. Like, who do you think of before you choose? And one of the tools that I give in the classes when this topic come up a lot, and I've used it for myself, which is what if choosing for you wasn't choosing against the other person? Because we think that if I choose for me, then I am cutting off, excluding the other person, being against them. And I always look at it as okay, so what if saying yes to me is not saying no to the other person necessarily? What if that could create greater? And what if saying no to the person is saying yes to me? So it is not against them, it is just standing with what works for me. And when you have that without the energy of the fight underneath it, of like, I will choose for me, when we start to have our own space and want to choose for us, that's a lot of people go to that first, where it's like, oh, I need to fight for me. No, it's like you have your back, but you having your back will create greater for everyone if you do it from a space of lightness, where let's say, okay, we're going out for a party, and then you're like, my body doesn't really desire that. So if you choose not to go, we would go like, oh, I need to show up, or I promised, or whatever. And then sometimes you would find that if you don't go and choose to not go, you would find maybe three other people out of 10 also didn't want to go, but were forcing themselves, and you are inspiring them to not go. And then maybe you would find yourself creating with these three people, staying at home and then doing something else that would feel way greater to you and your body and to them as well. So it's that having your back and inspiring others to choose for themselves. Because if, at least that's for me, hopes and dreams. But if I can be something in the world, then anyone else who is willing to receive it could actually receive it. So if I am that yes to me, I am that caring and nurturing. And we talk about in RDD as well, in relationships done different, about the 5 elements of intimacy, like the gratitude, the allowance. You just perceive that like being grateful to you, being in allowance with you, being honoring with you. And then what are the other two? Help
Vulnerable.
me.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. Vulnerability with you. And then the other one is trust. And then trusting you. Like trusting that that choice is what creates greater. It is not against anyone. And you would know, like, if you're choosing against anyone, you would know. Like, sometimes you would be like, no, I'm choosing for me. And then you're like, oh, actually, my bad. You would have created better if greater or better if I actually chose to go with you guys, but I didn't. So, oopsie, and then choosing again. So it's those 5 elements of intimacy when we are that with ourselves. And that's the other thing that I wanted to mention, because people see RDD, as you said at first, and then they think it's all about kissy kiss and intimate relationships, and
No.
that it can include it, but it starts with you. If you have a space with you of kindness, of nurturing, of caring, you can actually inspire the world to be that, and also be able to receive it and have someone show up. And Hedy said something that I find brilliant. She said, when you are in allowance, people also change around you. So if you already have a relationship, when you start being those 5 elements of intimacy with you, you might notice people around you changing, because it starts bringing up where people are the 5 elements of intimacy that you haven't received because you weren't being it with you. I don't know if that makes sense at all or matches what you were asking about, Sarah.
No, totally. I think I love all the spaces and places that you bounced around there, because it's kind of showcasing all the different things, but bringing it back to having it with you. Like, I always joke that, like, the world is all about like self-love and self-care and all of that stuff, but so much of that message out there is boundaries. It's like, put you first, not have your own back, or put you first, not include others. Like, when you choose for you, includes everyone. And so there's always like a kind of a polarity thing, and even like self-love has a message out in the world that's like, love all the wrongness, like love your wrongness too. That's what I see. And it's like, but if I wasn't wrong, I wouldn't have to love my wrongness. It's like you would get to explore who you be and the gifts you be without wrongness, is what the access tools invite us to. So, but the world will definitely tell you, like, you have to work on the relationship with you before you work on the relationship with others. But through this avenue of loving all the wrong parts of you, then how do you go into relationship and not find the wrong parts of somebody that you get to love? It's like such a weird paradigm, rather than being what we talk about as allowance for how people show up. Hedy, is there anything that you want to add to that question about like choice within relationship that was popping for you? A few times I saw your head go.
Yeah, it's kind of like the important thing, or maybe not important, but kind of like choosing for you, including yourself in the choice. You must have the intimacy with yourself. I have, met a lot of people. They don't know what is choosing for you, and they don't know they even don't know what makes them happy. They always know kind of like what makes other people happy, but they don't know what is fun for me. Especially in the Asian culture, the women, they seldomly would talk, you need to to find out what is true for you or what makes you happy. They always put others in the first place. But and when we have that question, what if I include myself in the choice? And they need to kind of like really look at that, but very honest with themselves. Does this choice really make me happy? Am I exciting for this? And sometimes when you really include yourself in the choice, if it does not make you happy, for example, some project invitation or some relationship, if you don't choose against yourself and maybe you say no to that person or to that project, then I mean another person, another, somebody else will join that and they really love that. But if you can like, oh, I need to be the good girl, I need to say yes, and I should not hurt other people, and then you are not happy. It's not really a contribution. I just see that you're choosing from the kingdom away. It's not like choosing for me and choosing against others. It's not either, but we can have, really working for better for all. Yeah, that's what I want to add.
Thank you. Ladies, do you have anything else you want to add or say or celebrate or
I just wanted to say with the title, like with the topic of this live relationship, do I have to? It and with everything Hedy just said, it's that I love the space where we took this as in, if you be with you and you include all of those energies, how much does the relationship that you want to build, whether it's a love relationship, an intimate marriage, friendship, whatever it is, how much greater can it be if you have that space for you, having your back, having those energies that you personally require, and you are no longer needing them from someone else, how much greater can your relationships be? Because we're also not telling you guys to each get a corner and not be in a relationship, but it's with you. When you are blooming, you also allow everything around you to bloom. So, what is it that you can be in the world and in your own life and living if you had your back, if you had a great relationship with you, a phenomenal, what is it? Relationship with you. Yeah.
awesome. And Hedy, did you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, this energy space is quite beautiful, and I mean, if you really have the communion, the intimacy with yourself, kind of like you will become, I mean, take the power of your life back and be responsible for all your choices. You won't easily, blame your partner or blame others. Oh, that's because damn, I didn't create what I desired to create. But kind of like you, oh yeah, whatever I desire to create, I can take action. I can be responsible for myself, and at the same time, you don't lose yourself, and you are also willing to. You have that intimacy. You are also more willing to receive from others. Kind of like really receive the contribution, but not consider them as a source. You are the source, but then you can really receive the contribution from others. That's
I love it. You ladies are
Amazing.
amazing.
Thank you. So are you.
you.
Mwah.
And I think this is the last one of the I think
Scheduled. I think it's the
Scheduled.
last scheduled.
Okay.
Who knows afterwards what's gonna be created,
Cool.
but I think it's, I think.
Awesome.
Who knows?
Hopefully you've enjoyed this series for the listener or the watcher or however you're partaking of this series. But there were a lot of different conversations that went on. And so if you want to go back and watch any of them, just scroll up or scroll down or go backwards and then click. I don't know how it works, but if you enjoyed this, come check us out at Relationships Done Different. And we'd hope to see you somewhere in a class soon.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.